welcome in everyone. It would not let me do the horizontal orientation, so I'm just fixing this. Give me 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. Alrighty. Okay, we're here, we're back, we're almost ready. As ready as we can be. All right. Hello, welcome in everyone. Thank you all for joining. I would love to hear where you're listening from, who's here with me. I think the biggest downside of YouTube is that you can't see anyone else on the other side. And so it's always a little funny, but I would love to know, as you guys are listening, where you're coming from, what you want to know most about Egypt. So today I'm talking all about the last few weeks I spent in Egypt. I was leading a retreat there and had the most beyond words time. It was so powerful, so beautiful, very transformative, and there's so much that I am integrating now, and I'm sure going to be integrating for the next year. So I just wanted to share a little bit about those experiences, what it was like traveling Egypt as a Western woman, leading a retreat there, how the different parts of Egypt were, and all that fun stuff. So let me know what you most want to know about Egypt. Thanks for joining in from Spain, one of my other favorite places. Which part of Spain are you in? Spain is such a magical place too, and right across the sea from Egypt. I don't know where that is. Which part of Spain is that? I'm very curious. So yes, I flew into Cairo on November 5th. Yes, I think it was the 5th. I landed on the 6th maybe actually. And I was there for 2 whole weeks. So it was quite a long trip. It felt like even longer in some ways, to be honest. I felt like I was gone for a whole lifetime. And I really had the experience of months compacted into 2 weeks. I went almost across the entirety of Egypt in all the different states, a lot of the different main cities and temples and places around Egypt. It was quite a wild ride in the best way. Very chaotic, but very amazing and beautiful. Partner Lauren and I landed like a day before our retreat was going to start. We wanted to get there early so that once all of our participants were arriving, we were already on the ground, ready to welcome them and all that good stuff. So we got there a day early and we had such an awesome first day before the retreat. It was already just so magical, and this was like an extra day where we went to the old museum in Cairo, which isn't even the main museum now, but it was still mind-blowing, the amount of artifacts they had there. And after the museum, we were crossing the street and this random friendly Egyptian guy stops us and is like telling us recommendations for lunch and all this stuff. And we told him we want to do a little shopping as well. And he was like, this is the place, like the tourists don't go, this is the best shop. And he like guides us across the street in crazy Egyptian traffic. And then we land in this little portal of this super cool store that was this hole in the wall by the most sweet guy. His name was Tika, and we ended up spending like 4 or 5 hours there, becoming really good friends with the shop owner. He was so awesome. He bought us lunch and got us coffee and tea and all these things, and just ended up having such great story time and hanging out with him. We found some really cool stuff in his store as well. We got some papyrus art and oils. And then we went back to our hotel to welcome everyone who started landing that night. So most of our participants were arriving in the evening. They started coming in and we greeted them, and it was really awesome. We had 9 participants in our group. So there was me and my partner leading it, and then 9 participants, and ended up being the most amazing group of people. Many of our retreat participants actually were new to the community. So they weren't previous students of ours or actively in the community, but this was like their first experience with us and with our community and our business. And so it was really cool to see and meet these new people and just see how well, of course, we all fit in together and what awesome spiritual souls they were. And yeah, we all meshed so well. Our group became like a family, truly. By the end, we were so sad to leave each other. Everyone got along amazing, which is better than I even expected it to go. I thought, I've ran a lot of retreats throughout the last decade, and usually there's some drama between people. It's just kind of normal. People get triggered, right? Things happen, especially on retreat when you're doing spiritual work. It can bring up a lot of stuff, naturally. But for the most part, it was totally drama-free. Everybody was so understanding and flexible and open and warm with each other. It was really beautiful crew. And so our first few days were around Cairo and the surrounding areas. And the intention with this whole trip, it was called Ancient Activations Egypt. And this is the name of all our retreats that we do, is like Ancient Activations and then the place. So our next one is going to be in Peru this May. And so this was our first international one. And our intention is exactly that. We go there as a pilgrimage, right? It's not just to tour, it's not to be tourists, it's to enjoy seeing the place, but most importantly, receive the spiritual activations, take time to connect these incredibly powerful ancient sites that hold so much wisdom, that have so much to share with us and teach us and activate inside of us. So our first few days in Cairo, I'll just go over some of the highlights. The very first day of our itinerary was Memphis, the first capital of the world, Saqqara, which are some other pyramids, the Giza Plateau, which are the main pyramids of Giza, this is one of the 7 wonders of the world, also the throat chakra of planet Earth, Vishuddhi chakra, and the Sphinx we saw that day as well, amongst other things. That was a crazy day. We actually got to have our opening ceremony of the retreat on the Giza Plateau, where we were standing in front of the 3 pyramids and opening sacred space, setting our intentions for the container, for the retreat together. And the energy there was wild. And as soon as we opened ceremony, it was finally like, okay, we're grounded again, we're back in our bodies, because entering the pyramids was a crazy energetic feeling. I almost felt like I was gonna faint because the energy was so intense. But as soon as we did opening ceremony, I felt a little more grounded again. The energy was still there, but like I didn't feel woozy or ungrounded. And then as we got closer to the pyramids, right, we actually got to sit on the pyramids, on the Great Pyramid, and meditate. Guys, that experience, truly beyond words, like still feels like a fever dream that we got to do that. The fact that you're even able to touch the pyramids, let alone sit on them, was a wild experience. And funny enough, a few of our group went inside the pyramids, and they ended up having this experience where they got taken by this garden there to a place where they could meditate alone without all the people. So they were meditating inside the inner chamber while a bunch of us were meditating on the outside. And we had the craziest experience ever meditating on the pyramid. I had my back to it and I had my shoes off and was having my feet on the pyramid, sitting on the pyramid. And just the like potency of the energy there is so physical. And the best way I could describe it is, it's not like a vibration, it feels like a wave through your body. And what's interesting and what shows you really the vibrational science of the pyramids is that everyone in the group described it the same feeling. It wasn't like it wasn't a vibration, it felt like waves, sound waves going through your whole body. Especially when you were physically touching it, it was like so visceral that these waves were rolling through you. And it was very beautiful, very activating. And I really did start to notice at the pyramids in particular, the connection to the throat chakra, the voice, sound, because it is such an amplifier of that energy, and it makes so much sense why it is said that this is the throat chakra of Earth. I started to really see and feel how much it was just opening that energy center. I felt constant urges to hum or to sing. And throughout the trip, we ended up doing this in many places. We were singing, we were humming, we were doing music, because it was just so much of that energy wanting to come through. Very beautiful energy of music and sound technology, mantra, right? So yeah, that was just like day one of the retreat, which was wild. And then we had a few other days exploring around sites of Old Cairo. Then we headed down to, I think it was Luxor. Yeah, we flew to Luxor, and we started seeing some of the temples around Luxor, which have a ton of like some of the most famous temples are around there. They're on the Nile. And so we started seeing some of our very first temples. The first temple we went to was the Temple of Hathor, the Temple of Dendera. Hello, welcome in. Hi, Tyrell. Hi, Charlie. I am talking about the last 2 weeks in Egypt. I just led a retreat there and just sharing some spiritual experiences from the space there. So the first temple we went into was the Temple of Hathor. She is the goddess of music, dance, love, song, a very like Lakshmi energy, I would say. She's that fertility energy, very harmonious, very beautiful. And she was the very first temple we went into, and ended up to be one of my favorite experiences in any of the temples. That temple is so underrated. Not a lot of people visit this temple for whatever reason. It's less trafficked than a lot of the other temples, which in my opinion are not as cool. So it was like very private in certain ways for our group, which was amazing. And we got brought by the guards to this special like chamber, which is called the birthplace of Isis, the birthing chamber of Isis. And it was this like square room. You're gonna see it in my vlog, by the way. I vlogged the whole trip, which will be coming out on the YouTube soon. And we were in this private chamber where we got 10 minutes to meditate, do our thing. And Lauren and I guided the group in a meditation and a vocal activation there. So I brought my rattle, we were doing the rattle, we were singing songs, we sang a chant to Isis, we sang some like affirmations and mantras together. And by the end, everybody was just in tears. The energy was just so sweet, so uplifting, so beautiful. And then we had free time to kind of wander around the complex, and I went off by myself, and I was looking for a place. I bought offerings for all of the temples before I left here. So I had gone to this metaphysical store and I bought a ton of really nice crystals to offer at specific temples to specific deities. And I had one for this temple for Hathor, this really cool like quartz crystal point. And I was looking for a place to leave it because I wanted to find a place where, you know, I could offer it, but it wouldn't just get taken by somebody. So I was wandering around the chambers and these like hallways that you like kind of walk up and down, these passageways, which are covered in hieroglyphics, and they're dark, so cool. And I was wandering around looking for a spot, and I brought my little rattle with me, which is crazy because I had this intuition to bring my rattle, and I have this shamanic rattle that I was given as a gift by one of my shaman friends, and I brought my rattle, and funny enough, I didn't even realize, but Hathor's symbol is the sistrum, which is like a rattle with coins. And I was like, of course, I felt intuitively called to bring this in. So I walked around and I was like doing songs with my rattle, and I was singing, and I was just by myself in these passageways. It was just so cool, guys. Like, I was geeking out. My inner child archaeologist who wanted to do this for a living as a kid was just geeking. And then on top of that, my spiritual self just getting the chance to be in these thousands of year old spaces that hold such beautiful feminine energy. So that was amazing. I ended up finding a spot to offer her the stone. I put it in a hole in one of like the walls there and the doorways. I don't even care if somebody finds it. It's a blessing, you know, passing the blessing on. So that was just one of the first temples. Whew, yeah. I don't know, maybe you can feel the energy as I'm talking about it, but that energy was just so feminine, so sweet, so motherly. After that, we went to the Temple of Osiris, so a totally different vibe, very masculine, underworld energy. We did a shamanic journey to the lower world. Lauren led, she is a Peruvian shaman. She did a lower world journey for us there in one of the meditation areas. That was super cool. That felt much more just like grounded to me. That temple felt very different, very direct, very grounded. Oh, hi, Laura. Oh, that's so cool, Tyrell. That's so cool. Welcome in, guys. Thanks for joining. I'm telling all the tales and the lore of Egypt. I have so much to blab about, so please let me know if you want to know specific things. If you have questions about Egypt as a whole or any of the temple spaces, anything about being there. I did have Blue Lotus. I actually have a whole beautiful bottle of Blue Lotus oil that I got there, super high quality, and I had Blue Lotus tea, and I smoked Blue Lotus flower while I was there. Yeah, so after those temples, we got on a Nile cruise. So for part of our trip, we were actually staying on a boat on the Nile River. That was one of the highlights for sure. It was so much cooler than I even thought it was going to be. Being on the Nile and just watching it pass by for days was just unreal. The scenery of the Nile is like nothing I've ever seen before. It's so beautiful, so lush, and then behind it is either sand dunes or desert mountains or ruins, thousands of year old ruins that are just casually there and no one really cares about because they're everywhere in Egypt. Or you pass by a village of people tilling their fields with their donkeys or riding their camels or little kids playing soccer or washing their clothes. Just like so much to take in, so beautiful. And that was just incredible. So spending time just on the boat, looking out, looking at everything pass by in the daytime and in the nighttime was really cool. Yes, we went to, the following day, we went to Carnac and Luxor temples. We also went, and Hatshepsut's palace, or tomb, actually, I think it is, her tomb. She was one of the only female pharaohs. Very cool aesthetically. Spiritually, I feel like, whatever, because she's not a deity, she's not a goddess, but it was a very cool sight to take in. Luxor, not one of my favorites, and it's one of the most visited places, but compared to the other temples we went to me, that one was a little anticlimactic. Not that it's not amazing, but in comparison, it was And then my favorite one of that day was Carnac. So if you go to Egypt, 10 out of 10, you got to do Carnac. Carnac was one of my favorite ones. Carnac is a temple of Horus, the eagle-faced god, the son of Osiris and Isis. And just that complex, though, was the most humbling probably of any of the places we saw. This one is famous for having the largest pillars, the tallest pillars, and the largest quantity. So you walk through and it looked like it is built for giants. These pillars are meters and meters and meters into the air. Their diameter is probably 20, 30 feet. And they are just shooting up in the sky, and there's hundreds of them. Hundreds of them. And you're walking through and it's mind-boggling, like completely mind-boggling. The size of this place was like, videos don't even do it justice. I'm gonna show you guys videos of this in my vlog as well, but still does not do it justice. Wild, wild place. But what was really cool spiritually, outside of just taking all of that grandeur in, was we got invited to this special temple off the side that wasn't even like part of where people were allowed to walk through, which was a temple of Sekhmet. And one of the most insane statues of her I've ever seen. And we got to sit in that room with the statue and guide a meditation there. I guided a meditation there. The Kundalini energy there was like probably the most I felt of anywhere. Sekhmet's energy and presence is so intense and powerful. She is super akin, if not one and the same, to Durga and to Kali, in my opinion, in working with them. It's very interesting too, because she is the lion-faced goddess and Durga's Vahana is the lion. So there's a lot of overlap and connection between Sanatana Dharma and ancient Egypt. They were very interconnected. I believe that fully. And that experience, just the Kundalini energy in her chamber was just insane. And I ended up, after that temple, I ended up getting, we went as a group to this alabaster factory. Egypt is known for like the alabaster and the alabaster carvings of statues and deities and such. And I ended up finding this crazy Sekhmet deity, and I purchased her, and she is now with me. So she was a very unexpected connection. I had never previously worked with her in my life. I had no knowledge of her, and that experience just blew me out of the water and really connected me to her. So that was really, really, really cool. Okay, let me get to the comments here, and then I'll go back to story time. No raves while we were there, sadly. Okay. I learned the Great Pyramid is 48 stories tall. Yeah, the size of it is insane, and the outer facade that used to be on the pyramid is gone, as well as the top piece which was gilded, is now, it was looted and taken. So even what we see is like not even the whole thing that it was once. The pyramids are wild. The size of them also, by the way, is bigger than you even think. They're larger than you even feel from seeing videos or pictures. They are so much bigger than that. When you're standing next to them, it is like crazy, the size of them. I got pestered so bad by beggars and hustlers in Egypt. Yeah, that is a thing. That is a thing. I will say, I think maybe the only con to Egypt, one of the only downsides, I would say, is the amount of asking for money, the tipping culture, and the scamming that's happening there. But it's also manageable if you know what you're doing. It can get frustrating. By the end of the 2 weeks, I was, not gonna lie, pretty frustrated by it, because anyway, we have a lot of stories about what happened to us on that front too. So I understand what you're talking about. It is a real thing. And definitely if you go to Egypt, you have to be aware of this, be very wary of it, because one, you got to know the prices of things ahead of time so that you don't get you don't get bamboozled. You got to understand that it is a tipping culture. Be prepared for that. Bring like small amounts of US dollars or have Egyptian pounds with you to tip for things that you actually want, not things that are being pushed on you, right? So it's a lot to navigate energetically, for sure. It is. It does take a lot of energy. What about are you talking about Ramses? Ramses is like really big in Egypt. Ramses II in particular. Everybody talks about him. I personally loathe him because he is one of the greatest genociders in the world, particularly of my people, of the Jews who lived in Egypt back in the day. Moses and Aaron's peoples and family and community was completely genocided by Ramses II. So yeah, I got not great feelings about that guy. But statues of him are everywhere. He's like one of the most popular pharaohs. You see giant statues of him in the Grand Egyptian Museum, at Memphis, at many different places. By the way, we were some of the first people to get to go into the into the Grand Egyptian Museum. That was super, super cool. That museum is the biggest museum in the world. Also, again, the size of the museum and the quantity and the size of the artifacts there, mind-blowing, super cool. The Celtic and the Hindu goddess Danu is quite interesting as well. I will have to look into that. I'm not so familiar with this goddess. He destroyed so much and slapped his face on stuff. Dude sucked my, yeah, he did. He was quite the conqueror. He was quite the conqueror for sure. Very similar energy to Alexander the Great, whom I, again, loathe that that is the title he goes by because he was one of the greatest genociders as well. And he obviously built a lot of Alexandria, which we also went to at the end of the trip. But yeah, it's interesting, right? There are always these components of history that are not at all what they seem or what, you know, how the story is told. Yeah, that is a thing also at the toilets. We were joking, our retreat group, when we all got home and we like first went to the restroom in our houses, we were like, oh my God, free toilet paper. Because you literally have to pay for toilet paper. It's a thing. If you wanna, another thing you can do is you bring toilet paper with you so that you don't have to pay the attendants for anything. You know, but yeah, they can definitely be aggressive. That being said, they are very poor, so always try to have understanding for that, right? And compassion. And usually we would tip them just because, you know, that's all they have. But yeah, it is a weird thing when you're not used to it, right? So yeah, so many other things I haven't even talked about, but I think the last one I'll end on is one of the meditations I got to lead on the Nile with our group. I led a death meditation, a Hindu death meditation on the upper deck of the boat under the night sky. And everybody was like laying down comfy. And I guided like an hour-long death meditation process that was so cool. Just the potency of doing it specifically on the Nile River and after visiting Osiris's temple, the connection to the underworld, it was like just so potent. Very, very cool. People had a lot of very emotional and powerful experiences in that. Death on the Nile, yeah. That was the spiritual death on the Nile. And then we ended our Nile cruise at the bottom, which is the Temple of Philae, the Temple of Isis. And this was the one I was most looking forward to. I was so unbelievably hyped to get here. It is in a state called Aswan, which is also probably my favorite part of Egypt that we went to. Aswan is very underrated. It is the more African part of Egypt, less Arabic, more Nubian, which are like the African people who have been living in Egypt for 5,000, 6,000 years. And these villages are just stunning. They're like painted these vibrant blues and other colors built into the rock and the sand. The culture and the people are beautiful, have their own language as well. And Isis's temple, the Temple of Philae, is on an island in the Nile in Aswan. So we got to start that day waking up and taking a little boat. We got off our boat, took a bus, and then took a little boat out to the island, the Temple of Philae. And we had like 4 hours there. That was one of the places we had the most time, and it was so needed and deserved. So many beautiful moments in that temple. We also got to do a meditation there with the group. We got to like all touch her altar, the original altar space in the main chamber at the same time, and put our hands on it. Then we went to one of the side temples that is like right on the water, stunning view, and Lauren led the rite of the womb, which is a shamanic initiation for the womb space. And all of us got rite of the womb. She gave it to me, and then I also started giving it to other people alongside her. So doing the rite of the womb in Isis's temple was just so beautiful. And then we had a few hours of free time. So I wandered over to this part overlooking the water, and I just sat and prayed. I had a lot of people, some of you guys listening here, give me prayers to give in Egypt, like petitions, prayer requests, offerings, and I offered all of those at the Temple of Philae. So I had a long list that I was going through. After I asked for my own prayers and blessings, I went through that whole list for everyone that I know and love and offered those there. I brought a crystal for her, and I offered it in part of the temple. What else? I helped some of my friends go through really big releases and offerings there. Yeah, it was a beautiful time. There's all these cats around the temple too. It's like one of the temples with the most cats. So there's these adorable, beautiful cats walking around. It was just such a vibe. And just stunning. You're literally surrounded by water. The energy there is so feminine. So much of that water element, that flow, very specific vibe there. Really, really beautiful. The day was just perfect and gorgeous. So yeah, wow, so much to say about Egypt. Saturn remedies before you said. Oh, true. Good point, Tyrell. I was thinking about that. Um, in the Egyptian Book of the Dead, it has a whole thing about blue lotus. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Blue lotus is such a powerful plant. And it does symbolize so much too, and it really awakens particular just parts of our uh, our brain and energy body, right? Yeah, I have the Book of the Dead with me here actually. So yeah, overall, I think one of the things I was most surprised about in Egypt was how safe I felt. I honestly thought, like, I knew I would feel safe because I am a big traveler and I've lived in India for multiple years, in South America for multiple years. So generally, I feel safe most places. However, I definitely was interested to see what it would feel like in the Middle East and an Islamic country and with the political climate of everything going on. And actually, like, shockingly, never felt endangered. The only complaint, like we talked about a little bit earlier, was at the most you just feel like you have to shut down the people who are trying to sell you things and like want you to buy something of that they're selling. That's it. But I never felt unsafe. I never felt in a bad position, or like we were in a dangerous place, a dangerous area with dangerous people. People were very, very warm, very kind, super welcoming, super hospitable. I learned a decent amount of Arabic while I was there. Now I'm obsessed with Arabic. I want to start studying Arabic more. So yeah, it was even definitely way better than I even anticipated it to be as a whole. Um, going back going back for sure, I would really love to spend more time in Aswan in particular. I'd want like a whole week down in Aswan. Again, it's a lesser known place. A lot of people don't travel there or know about it. It is so worthwhile. It is just so beautiful. I would love to explore more down there. I want to see Abu Simbel. It's one of the only temples we didn't go to because it's further south. And then at the end of the trip, we had time to spend at the Red Sea. We did because we were just go. A lot of mornings we were up at like 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. to bus around to all these places. And we were going, again, all across Egypt, up and down the Nile, all over. So we took 2 days at the end of the trip at the Red Sea to be like at the spa and just in the water and have total relaxation and rest time. That was really, really nice that we fit that in there. What's Rite of the Womb? Rite of the Womb is an initiation, a shamanic initiation that is really what it sounds like. It is kind of like an activation for your womb space. Whether you're a man or a woman, you can receive it. For men, it's more about the womb from which they came from, right? But for women, it's also in our own bodies. And it is about releasing the concept that the womb is meant to hold pain or fear, and that the womb is a place of creation and of joy. Yes, we'll definitely go back. We're going to be doing our next retreat in 2027 back in Egypt. So we plan to go every 2 years to Egypt, and then on the alternating years to India. So next year, the plan is we're doing Peru in May, and then we're likely, I'm still confirming it, likely going to be doing India pilgrimage in like October, November. Yeah. It was the perfect way to end the trip. Yeah, it was so nice. So that's gonna be the new flow, and I'm just really grateful. I spent, for those of you guys that might have been around for a long time with me here on YouTube, I spent many years leading retreats, particularly at the ashram when I lived in India. And I missed it so much for many years. It's one of my favorite things in the world to do. I love everything that retreats entail. I love like taking care of people. I love making this amazing experience and itinerary. I love all the details of curating the experience. I love travel, and I love being in person with people, doing my work, getting to share space, getting to hold space. It's my favorite thing ever. So I'm just so grateful that everything is rolling again and that we're now in this beautiful flow with our retreat program. So yeah, it's so exciting. We have a call tonight for Peru, for the Peru retreat that we're getting people onboarded for this week. And yeah, it's such a blessing. So I hope to see some of you guys in future retreats for sure. It would be lovely to see you there. We're gonna have at least two international retreats a year and also one domestic. That's usually gonna be our flow. So we do a springtime international, summertime domestic, fall international again. That's been our rhythm. So that's gonna be the flow, y'all. Do you guys have any other questions about Egypt, running retreats, sacred activation sites, anything along these lines? I would love to know. Kashi came to say hi. Kashi, you want to say hi to everyone? She coming for the pets. Oh, you see her? Do you guys see her? Kashi, say hi. Oh, it was so good seeing her. I love her so much, and I missed her a lot. That was a long time for me to be away from her, and we missed each other. We've been having lots of cuddles. I really wish, I'm telling you guys, I'm holding space, manifesting a reality in which this paradigm of traveling on airlines with dogs changes, and that it becomes a new norm, especially for the millennial generation, that so many of us have animals and not children, at least yet, right? That we can take our dogs places in a safe, easy way, and they can start coming on more flights with us, manifesting that reality. I hope we can unlock that timeline soon, because I really wish I could have brought Kashi. What was your best moment in Egypt? Every single day I was like, I'm peaking. So there was too many peaking moments, too many highlights, but I think, let me say the most significant moments for me as an individual were, one, leading the death meditation on the Nile. That was just a spiritually significant offering for me to get to do for others, because that meditation process is life-changing. It's a very big initiation, and I felt so grateful and honored to get to offer that to the group on the Nile River. And then the time in Isis's temple, the time with Sekhmet, the time with Hathor. So those goddess activations were super highlights for sure. And the Great Pyramids. So like I said, I have a lot of them, but sitting and meditating on the Great Pyramid was wild. What places felt like a portal with other low-cost frequency were grounded there? I heard about it from Sarji. What do you mean exactly? I feel like as a whole though, all of Egypt is a very astral, extraterrestrial space. The energy there feels like not of this world, which is interesting. It's not so much like the earth, Pachamama energy. It's like astral, cosmic, star energy. Each temple, I feel like, holds a different kind of aspect of that. The pyramids obviously hold a very, very extraterrestrial aspect to them. Very, very cosmic, otherworldly vibe in Egypt overall. Yeah. Okay, I know. I'm almost done talking. Well, thanks for joining, everyone. It was great chatting with you. Thanks for your great questions. I will be posting the Egypt vlog hopefully in the next week or so. It's taken me a long time. I have 4 hours of footage to go through. I'm trying to get it down to 15 minutes. So that is a challenge. I think I'm at the 11-minute mark right now. So I have a lot more to get through, but I'll be posting that soon, and I hope that gives you guys some nice insight into the experience and get to feel like you're there. So yeah. I have not been to Kailasanata or the Ellora Caves. That is on the list for our our India pilgrimage next year. Yeah, I am top of the list for that one. Yes, see you later, Laura. Can't wait. All right, my loves, I will see you guys in the next videos. See you on Instagram, see you on here. Hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your week.